Buff Nation, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday evening. Just a few more sleeps before NBC prime time, Colorado going into an environment from hell, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in to the Buffs Blitz. I'm joined by my co-host, my friend Russ from Buffs News Weekly. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, melting as we speak. It's way too hot here, and I'm just excited for that Saturday game. Saturday is going to be a long day waiting for that night, but there's some good college football games during the day, so I'm going to be filling my day with that for most of it. What about you?
My grandpa turns 99 on Saturday, so celebrating him that afternoon, and hopefully everything will be wrapped up before 6:30 Central. I'm in Central time now. I try and give all my time still in Mountain time. Taken used to getting to. I still prefer the Mountain time zone when it comes to watching sports, but
Yep.
it is what it is, man. I'm really looking forward to this matchup, and I'm really happy to be able to talk with you, Russ. We did a preview last week. We did a post game also, and I think some of my thoughts on the game last week have changed, but I think like overall feeling very excited, feeling confident going into this game against Nebraska. What say you? How are you feeling since Thursday night?
Yeah, I've kind of the same thing. I mean, I felt like I had a pretty good take after the game, and I think more and more people have kind of come around to that take when I've talked to them. I think when you really look down to it, and I get this, people are going to say every single football game in the world is like this, but there were a couple plays that we were close to the blowout that everybody wanted to see, and I think it was self-inflicted wounds that caused some issues. There was definitely some other places that were of concern, but I would say they're only concern if those continue into this week. Those being some of the defensive play calling. They pretty much ran cover two man like the whole game, it seemed, or cover one. It was just man the whole night. It seemed that I think the reason they did that was because I don't think they were worried about North Dakota State straight up. I think they were like, beat us in man to man. We're going to give yards up, but we're going to play a very vanilla man defense. And next week we'll start the exotic looks on the freshman quarterback that is Dylan Raiola. And so I think that's going to be a big key this week. But yeah, my figures on it look about the same. And especially watching back the game, there's definitely some players that stood out. And I think that's what we can talk about first when we get in here. We can talk about our players of the game now that we've had some time to look at the game, look back on everything. Everybody in the chat, feel free to type in your players of the game from the North Dakota State game. Let us know what you guys think. David, who were your players of the game on offense and defense now that we have had some time to simmer on
this is great. This is something I was going back and forth with on Rawhide with earlier today in the chat, man. Trevor Woods ain't a perfect player, but I thought he was damn good in run coverage for us. And like watching back the replay, he led us, I believe, in stops as well, which is like a tackle to end a drive on like a third or fourth down. So, like I was really impressed. I think he was making his biggest plays at the right time again to end drives. Very impressed with Trevor Woods. Now, am I concerned by his lack of speed covering? Yes, but it's kind of a bummer. I always feel like I got to caveat something with half these players half the time. I thought Trevor Woods played a good game, but man, everybody this afternoon was like, man, get Trevor Woods off the field. Here we go. Trevor Woods is not good, Dave. Dude, he was our leading tackler. He was our leading tackler in the game. Like, I thought he played a good game outside of being taken advantage of in pass coverage. Like, if we're talking about the number one priority for this defense is stopping the run, he at least reached, that first bullet point of this is what we have to do. Like, I thought he played good. I think I think now, again, I was kind of caught into this until I watched the replay, but I had him as a stock down player for me on Friday just because of how vulnerable I thought he looked in pass coverage. But taking another look at it, like he played the run well. I thought him and Levante Bentley did a decent job against the run, and I had to come back on that one. And a lot of people, man, do not look. I love this. Trevor Woods is not good, Dave. Trevor Woods was good. Is is this not like the pinnacle of a CU fandom analysis there? I guess, do you want me to do my offensive one, or do you got a defensive guy you want to focus on?
Let's go with mine so we can build off that too. Because I also like what El Cone said. I was going to say in your Trevor Woods comment, I think what you said, you didn't say Trevor Woods was great. You didn't say Trevor Woods was perfect, everybody. Trevor Woods did make some plays. Let's be honest, okay? There was a play that Cam Miller scrambled out to the left. Trevor Woods was the one that caught him before he got to the first down marker. Like, that was a huge play in the second half. He was in the right plays and places for some of the runs that definitely made some plays. He was penetrating alongside Bentley. I saw a number of plays like that. So I think the people who are saying Trevor Woods is trash, that is not a great take, okay? That is not trash. Is like every play on the field, he was a liability. I agree with El Cone. I think there were a couple plays that he did have some bad eyes and made some bad first reads, and that caused him to be out of position a couple times. We got to remember that he is, again, a safety converted to linebacker. He's got to get used to. Yeah. It's true. He's got to get used to. And safety, you have more time to read the play and make a reaction than linebacker. Linebacker, you just got to go. And by the way, my defensive player of the game, still Levante Bentley. That dude knows how to play linebacker. That is the guy that Trevor Woods needs to aspire to, because Bentley would pick a read and hit it hard. And there were a number of plays that he was getting to that backfield, hitting the right hole. So that is going to be huge against Nebraska, especially in their run game. So for me, Bentley 100% is my player of the game on the defensive side of the ball. He was all over the field, making so many great plays. And right now, I think he has solidified himself 100% as he needs to be in that game most of the time. Trevor Woods, I could see rotating. I could see them doing some different things in some pass sets maybe, because I didn't think he did as well in pass coverage that he needed to linebacker wise. The big first play of the game that they went for 40 plus yards, he made a mistake on that on the coverage and overplayed that. So I would like to see a Wester or a Cheney on those situations, because I feel like their speed can keep up. I don't think that they're going to have to worry too much about Nebraska's speed, so to speak, in those plays. But we do need to be smart when it comes to that. But I will say Bentley definitely our best defensive player for the night.
Oh yeah, man. Let me give some credit to Coach Hart, man. Gonna throw him some credit, man. He's still in my hot seat right now for some of the assistant coaches this week, but he got himself in better favor with me this week. I thought that, again, the fact that we're both picking out linebackers for their performance in the run game, I think is great. Again, we saw Trevor picked on at multiple points last season, and I thought he held his own. Now, again, you can't control who you play, but now we got a great test to see how they play up against Nebraska. And of course, guys, I just want to throw an honorable mention. We got some guys up front that are making our linebackers look good, man. Chidozie Nwankwo was absolutely dominant. He was incredible. Definitely deserves like a defensive player of the chain or a game chain or something like that from the team. But wanted to throw that out there as well. I'm very pleased with all three of those guys.
Yeah, if we're going to win this next game, when we get into the preview, we can chat about it. But Chidozie is probably going to be one of the main players that determines if we are going to have a successful Saturday. But Dave, what is your offensive player? And let's do this, because we already said this after the game. We said Travis was our offensive player of the game. Let's go outside of Travis, because that is way too easy. Travis, way too easy. Let's go with outside of Travis, who is your offensive player of the game?
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm gonna leave a slam dunk for you there, but I think I'll go with true freshman, man. I was staying through our preview last year was talking a lot about the lines, the trenches, all of that. I don't know how you couldn't be any more impressed with Jordan Seaton in his true freshman debut. I think first career Colorado Buffalo to ever make a start at left tackle as a true freshman, like in their first
Offensive
game or
line
whatever.
as a true freshman.
Wow, incredible. And I thought communicated well. Like, it didn't seem like he was missing like handoffs or anything like that. Recognizing blitzes, held his own. Very, very impressed. Like, Shador's got somebody on his blind side that I think is going to improve also as the year goes on. Because, guys, I still feel like with Jordan Seaton, yeah, he'll have his ups and downs this year, but still, I feel like we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the player that he's going to become. Like, I don't know how you couldn't be more thrilled with how he played this past week. It was night and day different from some of the left tackle Isaiah Jada. Some of those instances with Tank last year. It just we had none of that.
I'm glad we didn't, because I get it. Shador still had some pressure. There's some things we need to clean up, especially in the interior of the line. But I think one, it's clean. It's able to clean up. And then two, the fact that our outside tackles did such a decent job, I felt like, in the game, that was massive. Joey Richards with the super chat, loving the show. Appreciate it, Joey. Thank you for tuning in.
Joey. We got to connect soon, man.
We appreciate it.
You.
For my offensive player, I mean, I could go Jimmy Horn too. That's an easy one. I think Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter killed it. Outside of that, I'm going to go. I mean, the only other people, it's either Seaton or Jimmy Horn. I guess I'll have to go with the easy layup and say Jimmy Horn. I think what I'm very interested in is, before the first game of the season, I remember hearing people all summer long and all spring long say that Jimmy Horn was receiver 5, receiver 6.
I was saying he was like receiver 4.
Like, he's gonna get some playing time, but he's not gonna be the main guy. I think Jimmy Horn showed what he's going to be this year. He is going to be a dependable game breaker alongside Travis. I think, Shep's going to get more touches. He's going to be more of your big play type of, jump ball receiver. I think LeJohntay, you saw it a couple times. He was that shifty, give the ball to him in space, let him make some movements. Jimmy is just your straight speedster baller when it comes to that. He should have had a second touchdown. Let's be honest. If he doesn't drop that little screen pass, he's gone. He is seeing the end zone. Everyone I've watched that has broken down that play said it. All the quarterback gurus online who watched that play said that dude is hitting the goalpost if he catches that ball. So, I don't think that'll happen again. I think Jimmy will be fine, and he'll make that play the next time it comes around. So that's definitely where we're at. Overall, when it comes to the game, like I said, I think we have a lot to be proud of. Yes. I think we were a couple plays away. I don't think it was as close as people want to say. They're just going to look at the score and say, oh, you only lost by 5 points, or you only lost by 5 yards. Let's get those comments out of the way. Yes, the Hail Mary was stupid. The end of the game, the clock management was stupid. We got that. We're fixing it. That probably won't happen again. If that happens again, then Prime needs to do something with Shador, not pull him out of the game. I'm not saying that, but punish him, ground him, something as a parent, because that should never happen again. I don't care. And the weird part is, and Dave, you tell me if you heard this. I've heard two different sides to this. I've heard some people say, if it's cover 0, that is exactly what you do. And if Shador doesn't underthrow it, it's a touchdown. But then the other people, which I'm in the boat of, which is like, mathematically, the game is over. We don't need to kneel it. If we kneel it 3 times and punt, NDSU gets the ball with like 3 seconds left.
Yeah, exactly. You do the math, man. It just doesn't make any sense. I think that is inexcusable. It was totally inexcusable. I'm glad that we still burned enough of that clock for it not to matter at all. But that is something that we can't. You play with fire. At some point, you're gonna get burned. I don't want to get burned by any of that dumb stuff this year. Like, let that serve as a warning. There should be nothing about this team that reminds me of Nathaniel Hackett. If you're a Broncos fan, you know what that means. Like, there should be nothing with this team that reminds me of Nathaniel Hackett. We can't go back. So I'm an optimist. I think, Pat Shurmur was never like an amazing game management guy from what I remember during his time coaching the New York Giants. But I do think that it could help to lean on Pat Shurmur a little bit more in those situations for him to have kind of that final say. I know that Prime mentioned something that Shore is going to continue to have the final. That's all press conference stuff. I don't really read much into that. The operation, I think, is going to look better, and especially with people talking about it. Like, again, we saw it last year with the overtime rules. We never picked the ball first after that. So that's
we learned.
Yeah,
that's all we can ask for. So let's hope that never happens again. I think that's the biggest thing. Self-inflicted wounds when it comes to some of the penalties we gave up at really inopportune times where we were getting off the field. That cannot happen. That happened all last year.
Yeah.
That happened again first game. We need to make sure that never happens again. If that doesn't happen, that game is a blowout. Like, legitimately, and I think people are not thinking really, some of the people in the chat mentioned it. Second half was great. 6 points in the second half. 99 yards.
Yes.
Yes. I think you take that every day of the week. And I don't think any Nebraska fan or Nebraska person is talking about that. I've seen a couple of, I will say, smart Nebraska analysts. I've also seen some really stupid takes that tell me you have no idea about our team. So as we get into that preview, that's definitely something I want to bring up. But any last comments on NDSU before we close the book and we move on and we just say we're 1-0, babe? We're actually, no, we're 0-0. We're 0-0, and our goal is becoming 1-0 once again.
Here's the thing. I got to put on the Ralphie horns.
There we go.
This one, man.
It's got to happen one more time, guys.
Might I call this team disciplined? 3 penalties to 5 last week for a team that averaged like 15.8, basically 16 penalties a game. Unfathomable amount of lack of discipline last year. Man, oh man. If there's any statistic to take away outside of the lack of sacks from last week's game, it's, man, the fact we didn't commit very many penalties at all. And that's what I am so encouraged with. We have to remain disciplined going into, a hellhole environment out there in Lincoln, Nebraska this week. But that gives me confidence that we can stay disciplined. That's my biggest takeaway. I was on Corn Crazed about 2 hours ago. He had me on for an hour to talk about this matchup, and that's go check that out, by the way. Corn Crazed, awesome. And talked about how that's a sign that you're seeing that this team is different than last year's, is the fact we didn't have all these dumb penalties throughout the game. We weren't kicking the ball out of bounds. We did line up in the neutral zone once, but it wasn't happening like crazy. We can count to 11 on defense. Special teams will work that out. We'll work that out. But
that's the one.
But we look great, man. Like, especially week 1, we saw Texas Tech struggle with where I went to undergrad, Abilene Christian University, a bad FCS team in a bad FCS division. Them take Texas Tech to overtime and was converted to a 2-point conversion away from winning 53-52, lost 52-51 in Lubbock. If you're a Texas Tech fan, man, you're going crazy right now. Did I have the Buffs winning by 15? Did I have them covering the spread? Yes. But it's week 1. A lot of crazy stuff can happen, and it could have been a lot worse, man. It could have been a lot worse, and there's still some great signs and positives to take away from us taking on North Dakota State.
I love it. I would agree with that with you. I did love the improvement of it. Again, we got to get with the timely ones, but we could easily been without a penalty that game. There was really no bad plays. They're all self-inflicted, dumb ones. We can fix that. If we figure that out, I think we're golden. We're going to have a really good season. Okay, so let's transition now into previewing the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I've been watching some of the content this week. You've definitely dove in. I've been diving into different, video play. I was just literally this afternoon, right before us getting on, rewatching the Nebraska UTEP game, and I saw a lot of different things that I liked in regards to that as well. And I definitely have a game plan, I think, that's going to work as far as if we do this, we're getting a win. If Nebraska does this, they're getting a win. But the one thing I want to say before we get into, like I said, the analysts and things, I've been watching everybody's comments. You can tell who are just fan podcasts that have no idea what they're talking about. And you can tell who are people that actually know what they're talking about, because we can be respectful to both sides. Okay. I can give my flowers to Nebraska. I'm not going to say that this is an easy game and we're blowing Nebraska out. Nebraska sucks, all this stuff. Nebraska has things that they do well. Their analyst for The Athletic had a really good analysis of the game, and I agree with him. He said, Nebraska's advantage is in the trenches. Our advantages is at the quarterback and the skill positions.
Yes.
100%. When he said that, I was like, thank you for not just, crowning Dylan Raiola yet. Okay. He's a freshman. I rewatched that UTEP game. I'm sorry. He had the easiest game of his life. Okay. The kid got to just sit back there and just fling the football like he's playing catch. And he missed a lot of opportunities and things that I'm like, if he's playing against a decent defense, unlike UTEP, that's going to be a problem. And he got away with a lot of that stuff. So I agree with that. That's my first observation. But David, you've done a lot of deep dives into what's going on. What does Nebraska have? What are we looking like? So what are your thoughts on just Nebraska as a whole going into this matchup?
Well, before I dive into the details, I just want to set up with what I've been saying for months now. There are scenarios in which Nebraska is one of the toughest teams that we play all year. I could totally see them being a dark horse contender in the Big Ten this year, especially with their schedule. Like, they got a lot of teams that, in my opinion, they should beat. Last year, you could argue that they were a quarterback away. They got a quarterback that can do quarterbacky things now. Like, this is a great test for us. And I will agree with what some other people have said, including Rawhide earlier today. I think that this is going to be a nice little litmus test to show us where we're going to stand when it comes to how competitive we're going to be in the Big 12 this year. Like, this is a much better team from last year. And a lot of it, has to do with Dylan Raiola, but they have a great offensive line. They have big-time playmaking running backs. They have running backs that can burn you. They got running backs that can bowl over you. They got an improved wide receiver room. They have legitimate playmakers with good athleticism outside as well. That's why I see this kind of being more of a high-scoring type of game. I think that it's all going to come down to who is going to be able to exert their play style more. Is it going to be like how we did it last year, just picking that secondary apart, giving Shedeur enough time to do his thing? Or, hey, is Nebraska going to control the time of possession by a significant amount? Are they going to run the ball, like crazy and set up Dylan Raiola to make passes not necessarily aren't going to be under a large amount of stress? Like, I still think the plan for Nebraska needs to be to run the football and allow Dylan Raiola to be successful off of that. I think CU's best chance to win is, hey, can we stop the run? I'm fine loading up the box. I'm fine giving up some plays to Dylan Raiola and his arm. I can live with that. I can live with a 5-star plus quarterback having moments of dissecting us to the through the air. But again, our odds are much better getting this victory if we sell out to stop that run and see how he handles true pressure for the first time.
It's crazy because if you look at what we did against North Dakota, if we do a similar game plan to that, I think we have a better chance against Nebraska than North Dakota because of one reason and one reason only. We got killed by a running quarterback, by a scrambling quarterback. And I'm sorry, that is not Dylan Raiola. He is a throw guy. He is not going to scramble for 40 yards and 50 yards and score a 40-yard touchdown like Cam Miller did. Okay. We said Cam Miller beat us with your arm. He had some great plays with his arm, but then we did not contain when it came to the plays that we needed. We did what we had to do. We messed up on the discipline as far as the contain went. We allowed him to get outside the pocket and run the ball, or we didn't contain in the middle and he ran the ball. That's not Nebraska. That's why I feel like our defense will match up better there overall than what happened with North Dakota. Like, that is my thoughts. But the bigger issue that I could see is I could see Nebraska doing just a better job with the running backs running the ball. If we hold them to the same 3.2 yards a carry that we did North Dakota State, then absolutely my guess is we are going to have a chance at this. I don't care what Dylan Raiola's speed is. He is not a running quarterback. He is not a run-first quarterback. Nebraska is used to run-first quarterbacks. And honestly, last year scared me a heck of a lot more. And I think Nebraska, yes, has a better chance of winning that game if Jeff Sims doesn't fumble the ball like crazy. Because look at their one big play of the game. It was Jeff Sims running the ball and us not being able to contain that quarterback play. That is really hard to stop if you don't have the right discipline and the right players to stop it.
And y'all know we weren't disciplined last year.
Yeah, exactly. And so my point is, like, Raiola, everyone's saying he's the fastest guy in the world. Look, he's faster than he's not a running quarterback. I don't care what you guys say. He didn't do it in high school. He's not going to do it in college. He is what you guys have wanted for years. He is the prototypical pro-style quarterback, similar to Shedeur. Shedeur is not a running quarterback, people. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. Shedeur is not a running quarterback. Shedeur and Dylan have very similar things in common, but Dylan is a freshman, okay? Yeah. He is going to have some growing pains. Nebraska fans need to chill, because if they crown him like they did last week and he has some bad games, you guys are going to force him out of Lincoln. You watch. You're starting a true freshman. There are going to be ups and downs. He is not the second coming of Johnny Manziel and going to have this ridiculous year. That's all there is to it. Like, chill out, people. Like, really, with the Dylan Raiola stuff. Like, he's a good quarterback. He is going to have times where he is not going to look as good as he did last week. That's just the case. That's all I want to say with that. But David, when it comes to some of the other things with it, what else are you looking for with this matchup of things that we're going to, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, meaning Nebraska's defense, what are you seeing with Nebraska's defense?
Yeah, obviously they got the big corn-fed guys up front. These guys are massive. They're terrifying. They unleashed hell on Shedeur last year. A lot of rush 3, drop 8. And again, I don't really know, like, hey, if you're going to blitz more often, like, do you believe more in your secondary? It's returning mainly the same secondary that Shedeur faced last year and did very well with. And so that's going to be something very similarly. We've been talking about Trevor Woods and Levante Bentley looking better this year, continuity, all that stuff. Another offseason in the system. You could say the same thing about their secondary, having a second year in the system and all this sorts of stuff. They did what they should have done against UTEP, and I don't really think they showed a lot either, like in terms of breaking open, the playbook, doing a deep dive in there or anything like that. They just straight up were better than UTEP. And where am I getting at with this? I think offensively, you want to see us kind of stretch them a little bit. Let's put their speed to the test. I think we all can say that they got stronger guys there up front. I think they do. They have the track record of being that as well. How about we incorporate some jet sweeps? Y'all remember Tarveris Dawson in the second half last year in this game having a nice little jet sweep touchdown? That was something that I think Pat Shurmur's going to have dialed up for this team this week. Again, it plays into our speed going sideline to sideline much quicker, and it's going to require discipline on Nebraska's defense, and also really putting them in positions to where they need to make open field tackles. I do want to see us. I just pray to God we can establish some sort of decent running game, but there are different ways to supplement that we didn't see against North Dakota State that I think you will. I think jet sweep should be a part of this game. I think I do want to see more Draylon Miller. I think having watched the replay, I liked it a lot more with how they looked. I thought it was very interesting how Pat Shurmur was dialing up looks for him at the beginning of the game, and I think we had a couple in the second half. But he's one of those guys. If we're going to use him like Deebo Samuel, you really don't know how he's going to be used. You could see a total empty set coming out there where it's just 5 wide, but then you're actually running the ball or doing something like that. I want to see CU get a little bit more crafty. I want to see them get a little bit more creative with establishing a run game, because we can't expect to just run halfback dive 12 times against this line and expect to be successful. We need to get those big guys running. We need to take them out of their element, have them going sideline to sideline instead of a little bit north to south. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. I think I love that game plan too. I think anything that we can do to stretch it, anything we can do. So here's what's going to happen too. Okay. And here's kind of the key for Colorado to have success offensively. Somebody in the comments already said that 3-3 defense or 3-3-5 defense is so hard to go against. I'm sorry, but that's actually a benefit to Shedeur Sanders and his quarterback play. Please rush 3, maybe blitz a single linebacker. But that's not going to work against this offense. Just go back to last year and see how that went when Shedeur was sacked 4 times and under pressure all day and still threw for 400 yards. Okay. If we at all improve over last year's game against Nebraska, as far as our line goes, we're winning this game. Like that's just what's going to happen. Like it's going to be a shootout, and Rayola's going to have to go blow for blow with Shedeur and our offense. And I'm sorry, but that's where Nebraska loses this game. Okay. Again, not saying Nebraska is guaranteed to lose this game. Not saying, there are ways that CU loses this game. For instance, if Nebraska scores 30 points, I don't like our chances. Okay. I think we can easily get into the 30s, but if we're talking about Nebraska being over 30 points, that means they're probably winning the time of possession battle and they're probably winning the game. So there is the way that Nebraska wins this game, where they get to 30. There is a way that Nebraska doesn't, and that is if they play the 3-3-5 and sit back and don't rush those extra guys, because I'll be honest, and you saw that last year, Dave, they weren't rushing 4-5 guys, and they were getting to Shedeur because of how bad that line was. And I don't care. Somebody else, again, in the comments, I'm just reading some of these. There's some crazy comments of like, oh, Shedeur, it's the same team. Shedeur was running for his life last week. I'm sorry, but if you watch that game and say that about, and you want to compare the lines, I'm sorry, you didn't either watch last year's team or you didn't watch the game this year, because there were plenty of plays. Yes. Was he still under pressure? Yes. It was not perfect the whole game, but there were several passes that he made where he was able to step up in the pocket. He still got hit, but there is no way he's stepping up in that pocket last year. That was non-existent for him to be able to even do that. So that right there was an improvement on last year. So if you guys are saying that it's the same offensive line and they're same, please, I hope that Nebraska feels the same way. My guess is they don't as a team. I think they're smarter than that. I think Matt Rule is smarter than that, because some of the fans are completely delusional in how they think about football, and it shows. They are not going to run just a simple 3-3-5, and they're not going to sit back and just try and play the defense on the pass. Their key to victory is bringing pressure and hoping to get to Shedeur as quick as possible. Okay. And if they don't, the game is over. But here's the last thing I want to say when it comes to our offense. I don't have faith in our running game this weekend. I just don't. I think Nebraska is going to be very good at plugging up the holes and doing that. If for some reason, Dave, we start seeing us finally get the running game going, again, that's another scenario where Colorado wins this game. But Nebraska stopping the run does not mean that the game is over, because we saw what happened against North Dakota State. We can still throw for 400 yards. We can still score 30 plus points against Nebraska, even with pressure, even with no run game. So again, it's going to come down to, can they stop the passing game? Can they match up with our wide receivers? And can they get to our quarterback fast enough via the blitz to cause issues for Shedeur? And then can Nebraska's offense keep up with Colorado scoring? And, if they have some big drives, Again, that's the key to victory for Nebraska. Going longer drives, stopping CU just enough, and then coming out of here with like a 34-28 win or a 34-31 win. That's where I could see Nebraska pull out a victory in this game. And so that's what I think is what Nebraska's kind of goal is going to be.
Oh man, there's a lot to say to that. I'm curious, Russ, what you think about how you think Nebraska is going to attack this offense, because my mind's kind of going some different, again, I think you're crazy. Like you said, I think Nebraska's crazy if they just come out, do the rush 3, drop 8 with what we saw a lot last year. Like, I just don't, I don't think you're going to do that. And yeah, like Shedeur, sometimes he welcomes the pressure because he is, he's holding on to the ball for those deep routes to develop to then hit them. Like, he can dissect you in the short game, but I think we all know, we've seen him enough now that he stays aggressive, pedal to the metal at the premium or whatever in the primary. Like, he's always looking for those big plays downfield first. And so that's why he's willing to hold on to the ball, scramble, take some hits in order to make those things happen. I think, if I'm Nebraska, this might sound counterintuitive a little bit, Russ, but I'm wondering, actually, do you dial up some different blitzes at first so that you can try and force Shedeur to throw the ball quicker? So that that way you're just dropping guys back and just trying to handle the underneath. Like, so often, it wasn't necessarily against Nebraska last year, but there was a lot of stuff. This was more so with Sean Lewis, where it's like we didn't even have a hot read going when they were facing pressure. I could see if this defense comes out like that, where Shedeur is really having to lean on hitting his hot read, throwing at where that blitz is coming from, taking advantage of that space created. And we might have to win a little bit more methodically than holding the ball, getting the big chunk plays, all of that. I think, again, what I'm encouraged from is that we saw CU do a little bit of both of that this past week. But I do wonder if we're all expecting, oh man, do you drop 7? Do you drop 8? Like, Shedeur is going to have more time than he had last year. Well, then wouldn't Nebraska want to just try and usher him to get rid of the ball so the average depth of target is much shorter than what it was in the past?
I 100%. I think, again, Matt Rule is smart enough. That coaching staff is smart enough to say, we're not just going to send 3 this year. Okay, it's not the same offensive line. I guarantee if they watch that North Dakota State ticket, the game, that they're going to see that, North Dakota still had to put 4 when it was probably 3 pressure. And I did look at those plays when it was 3 pressure. Shedeur had all the time in the world. Okay, so it's not the same line where, our interior with Jack Bailey and those guys just don't touch a guy when it's only one guy rushing 3 of them. So, that's not going to happen again. Oh my gosh. I don't know who this Nav person is in the chat, but I guarantee they're a troll. Because now they did say that Rayola is.
You can't let them get
Pat
to you.
Mahomes.
You can't let them get to you, Russ.
It's more annoying than anything, because I'm just like, you're definitely now just trolling. You're not even trying to offer anything. They're gonna have to bring more than just 3. They're probably gonna have to bring more than 4. If they bring 4, the key is gonna be, again, I'm sure they're gonna scheme it with some different stunts and stuff to get that 4th person in, whether that's the linebacker swinging in, hitting a different gap. That's probably going to cause some issues. But here's why the 3-3-5 is beneficial to Shedeur. Because, one, they're either going to line up with some people in those gaps showing a blitz, in which case I feel like Shedeur is going to be smart enough to be able to read that and try and get rid of the ball quickly. And if they try to do any delayed blitz, that's going to give Shedeur too much time to be able to throw the ball. And that is where he succeeded last year against them. Again, 8 sacks last year, guys. It's not like their defensive line didn't dominate us last year. And we still won by that score. So don't tell me, that we don't have a chance. I hate when the Nebraska fans this week are like, oh, it's an easy win for us. Like, that's just not where it needs to be.
Well, to be fair, Russ, I think like where some of these Nebraska fans are coming at, not necessarily isn't the defense gonna, gonna keep us under 30 points, something like that. I think it's more the fact that they got a quarterback with a heartbeat now. Like they have a legit offense. Like if they had a quarterback that was worth a damn last year, it's not a blowout. Like I
No.
don't agree that way, but I really do feel like the story is how good is this the Nebraska offense going to be? Like you said, man, if they're scoring over 30 points, that could be very very advantageous for Nebraska, very bad for CU, but can you just force us into like a few bad drives? That might just be all the room that they need in order to keep themselves in this game.
So the first quarter of UTEP, Nebraska had the opening drive, which they went for 7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Their next 2 drives, they went 4 and out against UTEP. And I'm sorry, but watching UTEP's defense, that looked piss poor. And I get that it was the first quarter of the first game of the season. I get that. Who is in the chat? Where was it? Somebody made a really smart comment. They said they were a Nebraska fan more recently.
Oh, probably my friend Cameron. He's going to come on the show tomorrow.
Biggs at 741. He called out Nav, and I like what he had to say. He gets it, okay? And I am going to give the flowers, okay? Did I see glimpses of what Dylan Raiola could become in college football? 100%. And to be honest with you guys, I'm kind of glad that we're not playing Nebraska again the next couple of years, because Nebraska is going to get a hell of a lot better over the next couple years. Okay. The reason why I think Nebraska is going to have a good year this year, they have got a powder puff schedule. Like, I don't know how they got this schedule, who they paid, what they did, but this schedule is absolutely insane. Besides the Ohio State game and the USC game, and maybe the last game against Iowa, that's 3 games, Dave. And then the CU game, I'll put that as the 4th toughest. The rest of them should be wins. And if they don't win them, then there's something really wrong going in Lincoln. And so Raiola is going to look great this year because he has an easy schedule. I think this is amazing for a true freshman to have this type of schedule that he gets to go and figure things out. But I want people to realize, and again, I have family that are Nebraska fans. I have family that are from Nebraska. I have paid attention to Nebraska the last 10 years, okay? You guys have finally got that quarterback that you can build a program around that is going to take you to the promised land, but you guys have got to be patient and realize that things are going to go up and down, okay? He's probably not going to fumble the ball like Sims did 3 times for no reason, okay? That's not going to happen. Now, is he potentially going to throw a pick or 2? I think he will this game, because watching that UTEP game, he had all the time in the world. And because of that, his receivers could just do whatever they want. And a couple of the plays that he had, he just floated that ball up. And I counted how long it took that ball to come down. If you have athletic DBs who can keep up with the receiver, which, by the way, we will probably have more athletic DBs than their receivers. Those are going to turn into 50-50 balls with the likes of Shador Sanders, Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney. And I like our chances to defend those or get a pick off of them. So that's where I was like, yeah, that's UTEP being absolutely terrible. Like, I'm sorry. And it's the receivers making a pretty good play on that as well. I would not give that all to Raiola. He gave his guys a chance, which is great. It's better than what Nebraska's had. But Shador is where Dylan Raiola will be in 3 years. Okay? But there is that 3-year difference, and Shador is that much far ahead. That's where I give the nod to Shador over Dylan when it comes to the quarterback battle. But like you said, it's going to come down to how we deal with the trenches. Can we hold off enough? Yeah. And then can Nebraska's offense keep up with us the entire game? That's my 2 keys to the game. If Nebraska does both those things, they're going to win. They could win in convincing fashion if they get both of those. If they just keep up with us, they could win because now it's just a crapshoot of who scores last. And then outside of those 2 things, if we just play our game and we do enough on defense and we play our offensive game the way that we know we can play offense, that's where I see CU winning. And I see CU winning by a close a close game. There's not very many chances that I see a blowout. I see a blowout if some things really have to go Colorado's way and we play a perfect game. But I don't see that happening this early in the season. I just don't.
Yeah. Again, you got a quarterback with a heartbeat over there. So, we're not going to see anything like Jeff Sims, 4 turnovers, anything like that. I'm not expecting, but I think the path to victory for Nebraska is to limit our possessions. Like they need to have long, extended, just soul-sucking drives in order for them to get this victory. And it really just comes down simply to does Nebraska, can they get to Shedeur in time? Because hey, if Shedor's having time to sit back there, extend the play, roll out, he's willing to take some hits to be able to hit those plays downfield. If he's able to do that, man, that it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to keep up with. But that's why ideally, man, if we can get off to a lead, obviously I think it's always advantageous to get the ball at the beginning of the second half, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if we get the ball to open up the game, because I would love to put the pressure on in that first quarter, with them taking the ball already down 7-0, putting the pressure on that offense to already keep up.
See, I'm the opposite because we're going to Lincoln. If this was in Boulder, I would agree with you. I prefer the defense getting out there first, letting the offense kind of feel things out, see what's going on, get a feel for what's happening in the stadium. And if we get a stop to start the game, I think that just translates to some momentum. And I think it'll bring the fans just a tad bit down. If we're talking about CU's offense going out there first, that Memorial Stadium is going to be loud and rocking. It is going to be very difficult. But if the defense can make some kind of play on that first drive, I think you bring that down maybe 2%, 3%. Again, I'm giving you guys your flowers. Notice this is how conversations happen, right, Dave? Like, we're not over here blowing smoke, saying some random crap about Nebraska. We're not saying this is an easy game for Colorado. We're not saying Colorado's winning this no matter what. I don't see a single chance that Nebraska has to win this game. Like, somebody clip that. Go ahead. Send it viral like that I said that, because it's not the case. Like, I respect what Nebraska has done. I respect how they've built. I respect who Dylan Raiola is as a quarterback. And it is not going to be an easy game, but there is absolutely scenarios where both teams get a victory in this. And it comes down to, what we just talked about of what's going to happen.
I almost want Nebraska. This won't ever happen, but truly it is about stopping this passing attack with Shedeur, dude. Sometimes I just wonder, man, if they're just say, you know what, screw it, man. We're just going to drop 9 every play, man. Literally invite them to run against like a 3-man box. but that will never happen. I could pray for boxes like that, but there's no way that's happening. It's, man, I just cannot wait. I cannot wait because way different styles. You can see the paths to victory for both teams. Obviously, man, we're going with the Buffs. We've been in this matchup already. We understand what it means. And hey, I think our offensive line's a half second better, at least, than what it was last year. Good luck. Good luck covering 4 guys every single play that can all take it to the house, no matter where they're catching the ball. It's
bingo.
It's going to be a lot of fun. That's why I just say, screw, dude. Just blitz. Get the ball out of his hand. Don't even give him the option to throw deep.
No, because like you said, I've seen some people saying, no, you just need to shut down Travis. They don't even know about LeJohntay Wester and Will Shepherd. I dare Nebraska to put 2 or 3 guys on Travis's side of the field, because Shedeur is going to have a field day feeding that ball to LeJohntay Wester and Will Shepherd. This is the perfect scenario for Shedeur, where he's going to be able to read defenses and make the right play. He's going to have a play every single drive, so long as he gets 3 seconds. If the line can give him 3 seconds, that's the key. 3 seconds, not like last year where it was 2 or less. 3 seconds, he will find somebody.
We
And if
had
you give
what,
him any more,
2.91 against North Dakota State. Can we have that same amount of time?
oh, I said it, 3 seconds. That is the sweet spot, guys. 3 seconds, Shedeur is winning the Heisman. Like, that's going to happen. Or he's going to at least be invited to New York. But the offensive line, they had their issues. Yes, he was running for his life at times, but it was not the whole game. It was not like last year. He took 1 sack. Shedeur said he will take that. He will take the blows. Okay. And this is the other thing, by the way, guys, the difference between Shedeur and Dylan Raiola. Shedeur, being his age and being how mature he is body wise, physically, he can take that beating and get back up. And that is why people are talking about him as a first round quarterback. Whatever team he's going to go to will probably have a bad offensive line. He can take those hits. He can get back up. The dude is tough as nails. Every single analyst out there this week has said that. Shedeur Sanders is the toughest quarterback in FCS and FBS football. Hands down. End of story. Like, that's the one thing you can say about him. So everybody's saying that they're just going to be up in his face and running for his life. That's Shedeur Sanders' game. He is fine with that. He is fine with you doing that to him. If we reverse the roles and we apply pressure on Dylan Raiola and we do the same kind of hits, sorry, but a true freshman quarterback is going to have some issues and could get hurt if you're allowing that many hits a game on him. But I don't think that's going to happen. They've got a better offensive line. But if we can get a few hits going on him, if Chidoze can get in and get a hit, if BJ Green, Deion Hayes, Sam Okunlola can finally get some rush going and get in there, we're going to see a lot of a difference-making defense compared to what we saw last week.
Well said, Russ. Let's break this down in a little bit more detail. I pinned JP's revenge comment here. He said, "What's up, guys? Do you think our pass rushers can get to Raiola and make him uncomfortable in his second college game? I'm 10 times more confident in Shedeur under pressure in Lincoln over a freshman." Just echoing what you just said, and I would agree. I think that, hey, in crunch time, when dealing with pressure, all that stuff, I think we'll all take the veteran quarterback. We'll all take Shedeur over somebody making his second start, as talented as Raiola is. But one thing that on Corn Craze that I learned having this discussion with Connor is that he was talking about how this backup left tackle, I'm trying to remember his name, Connor something, I believe. He actually won the starting position in camp. So that guy who tore his ACL and was out, he started for them last year. But he was not going to start for them this year. Obviously, throughout his career, this left tackle now playing, the grades have been horrendous. I think that Connor went on to tell me that he was the worst graded starting tackle in multiple years in Power 5 college football, which is crazy. But he thinks that, hey, he might have developed, but this is going to be the first true test. I do think that we can that there's a potential advantage that we can find with sending some of our edge rushers. Man, you name it. I want to give him a handful of different looks. Have Green get some looks. Hayes. I want to see what Taj McCoy, Arden Walker, these guys can do out against them. Again, Arden Walker, limited snaps, 25% win rate on the pass rushes last week. I would love to see a little bit more of him involved. But yeah, what do you think about this? I only think the pass rush is going to be an issue if Nebraska is forced to pass the ball. So it really is predicated on our ability to prioritize stopping the run first.
I think the team starts off prioritizing the run. I think they asked Dylan Raiola to beat him with his arm again. And once he proves he can do that, they'll make some adjustments and changes, similar to how we did with North Dakota State. We said, Cam Miller's a running quarterback. We're going to let him beat us with his arm. We're going to say Dylan Raiola is a freshman quarterback. We're going to see if he can make the right reads and beat us with his arm. I will be honest. Again, the UTEP game was way too easy for Raiola. He didn't have to make the big plays. He didn't have to make the reads that he needed to. A lot of it was first read. A lot of it was first play. A lot of it was throwing the ball up deep to, the one-on-one receiver and just seeing what they could do. I didn't see those really and I know people have been showing the sidearm play, that's different. Okay. Accuracy is different. I'm talking about being able to find the second and third read, being able to really truly read a defense and find that wide open guy like Shador does, especially last game. North Dakota State ran a cover 2, or the Tampa 2, which if you watch breakdowns on it, the middle deep part of the field is open every single play.
Why we're running a lot of those vertical combinations.
Exactly. And that's why we threw the ball so much. People were like, "Oh, we didn't run the ball." If they're going to run that scheme the whole game for Shador Sanders, he is going to just dart that ball in between those safeties every play. And sure enough, he went 3 for 3 for 1 touchdown and like 300 yards down the middle of the field. Okay. So he will take what you give him. The fact is that the UTEP game, that really wasn't the case. I think they schemed well in the sense of Raiola could find that first read and just hit the receiver and just got a rhythm. Okay, he just, did that each and every time without any pressure. I think it was a very easy game for him. This one is going to require a lot more game planning for him, a lot more knowledge of the defense and reading the defense. And that is why I think, and we talked about this in the postgame, I think that Rob Livingston did not do very many exotic looks. I think he went with a very bland defense against North Dakota State, knowing full well that this week he is playing a freshman. I am not going to give this freshman any tape to look at, and I want him to read us on the fly. I want him to know, okay, is it cover 1? Is it, cover 2? Is it zone? Is it man? Is he going to be able to know the difference of that on the fly and be able to make the right plays? That is why I think that's where it comes down to. I think we can get turnovers because of that exact reason. It is going to be very difficult for Raiola, and add in if we can get some pass rush on him, and that's where the game could change. Now, if Raiola goes out and has a fantastic game, of course, I will give him his flowers. I will show him that he's a really good player. But anybody who says that Raiola is God and he's the next coming after that first game, you guys are going to have some problems because Dave, there are going to be times where he is going to struggle this year. It's just going to happen. Okay. And if Nebraska fans aren't patient, it's going to be a bad time in Lincoln. I know how the fans get. They are not patient with their players. They are not patient with their coaches. I guarantee you, if people could have Bo Pelini back because of the type of teams that he put together and what they've had since, they would have done that. Now, Matt Rule, one of the best coaches they've had in a very long time. I will again say that they're on the right path to where they need to go. But if Nebraska fans don't understand that they need to build up to this and they are going to get better and they are going to compete the way they need to, if they try and rush this and get angry, that's what. And Biggs, I'm just saying, probably during the Scott Frost era, people were probably a little bit more fine with a Bo Pelini coming back because of how bad that was. Okay. Again, you guys have Matt Rule. That is completely out of the picture. Matt Rule is probably the best coach you've had in 20 years, going back to your heydays. So because of that, they need to show patience. They need to understand what is going on. And for anybody that's just saying, oh, this is going to be an easy game for Dylan Raiola, there could be some problems after this. I mean, I'm sorry, but I know Jeff Sims wasn't good. I think he could have been a lot better than he was if Nebraska fans didn't completely destroy him after that Colorado game. Because every comment in the world says that Jeff Sims lost that game. Shador didn't win it. Colorado didn't win it. No, Jeff Sims lost that football game, and he is the only reason that Nebraska lost.
Oh man, dude, Jeff Sims was bad even before he got to Nebraska. That is that. I'm gonna fight you on that one, Russ.
He could have been average, is my point. He could have been average, and they could have competed. Like, I'm not saying he was winning you games, but he was the type of quarterback that they could have used, a strong running first quarterback that could have worked in the sense of at least giving them a chance to win games.
Yeah. Now, I will say, let me get to this super chat really quick, Russ.
Oh, we got another one. Great.
Yeah. Thank you. CK Cash 26 coming over here from Corn Crazed. I'm excited to see the Buffs in Lincoln. It's going to be a great game. Go Big Red. Thank you for the $5. the generosity. Hopefully, we can do this matchup before 2031 so I can come on Corn Crazed again. That was a lot of fun. I just like saying Corn Crazed, but means a lot. But I think like I think I'm buying maybe a little bit more of the rail hype, maybe than you are, Russ. All I hope is that he doesn't start looking like Caleb Williams till after this week. Like, we need to just apply pressure, man. And I think that's our path to victory. Like, and this is why I told Corn Craze, I can live with Nebraska getting a victory over us because Dylan Raiola looked like, real Patrick Mahomes. I can live with that. What I can't live with is if Nebraska just absolutely gashes us for 250, 300 yards on the ground, and they just absolutely bully us into a substantial loss. Like, I can't live with that. The game plan needs to be to test Dylan Raiola, see how ready for the moment he is right now. And I think you take those odds 100% of the time with a true freshman, no matter how highly they were rated coming in. No doubt about it.
I would say I agree on that 100%. If Dylan Raiola balls out and has, his coming out party, by the way, this would be his coming out party, not the first game. Then yeah, I can maybe see that. It means that he made some crazy plays that our cornerbacks could do nothing about. And he gave his cornerbacks the only chance to catch the ball. And, he made the right reads and he did all that. So, that's where I could definitely see that. I agree. If we lose and it's because they possessed the ball and ran for 300 yards again, our season's in trouble. Our season's in trouble. That's because that's what we're going to be facing week in and week out after this. It is going to be hard-nosed running game teams. And if we can't, at least contain Nebraska's run game in this and force Dylan Raiola to throw the ball, we've got some really, really big problems.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm getting distracted by some of these comments. But
I know it's going crazy back and forth. I see some crazy fans. I see some very, smart and level-headed Nebraska fans in here. And then of course you definitely see the trolls.
Let's just enjoy the rivalry week, man. Everything about
That's for sure.
It's chaotic. You gotta love it. And I love this point here from Young Kids 24. History tells us that freshman quarterbacks cannot win a rivalry game versus a veteran quarterback. You have to understand those dynamics. The only exception recently that I can remember is Caleb Williams coming back over 21 points to the Texas Longhorns in his first game ever. Like, again, that's what and just because he plays for Nebraska, like he did. And you've said this too, Russ. He did everything you would have expected to going against Utah or UTEP. He looked the part. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think that's why Nebraska fans are going to be patient with this whole thing because they see things going in the right direction when you get a quarterback of his caliber to the Midwest like that. But I don't see it going in his favor just yet. Yeah, as long as we don't have a Caleb Williams coming out party against the Texas Longhorns, I think we're in good shape. I don't want to see that. And you got to hope that if you're comparing both of these games, that Colorado's defense is a little bit more prepared. I can't remember if that was the first year of Sark or not. But anyways, that's other things. We got a handful of returning players that played in this game last year. While we haven't played in an environment like Lincoln yet, I think we're better having gone through what we went through last year, starting with Oregon. And we know that 2 and 12 are going to be ready. Is this offensive line going to be as disciplined as they were last week? No penalties in a ruckus environment. That's going to be a big test. Like, let's not put ourselves in second and long, third and long situations here. That we didn't do that much last game. Like, Russ, do you remember, man, our third down in long conversions against Nebraska last year were absolutely insane. They were some of the craziest third down conversions I'd ever seen in my entire life. With the added speed that we have, we are a faster team. than we were last year, which is crazy to think about. But, can we use this speed to our advantage to get ourselves into second and mid situations or second and short situations? If we do that, then I'm feeling very good about this game.
Yeah, I mean that's football 101. Like, can we get first down yardage? Can we open it up so Shador has that free play, so to speak? So second and short gives you the opportunity to take a deep shot. It just does. That's just the way football works. They call it the free play because you can just throw it up there if you want to. So I think that could be really, really good. And I'm excited. Like you said, here's the thing. Nebraska fans, you're not paying attention if you don't know this. We're faster. We are bigger. Okay?
We're not the biggest, but we are bigger, dude.
No, we're bigger than we were last year. Okay?
Yeah.
So even if we're incrementally better than we were last year, that is still a big deal, especially with the playmakers that we have. Okay, that's why some people are. I hate the people that are saying, "Oh yeah, you're just it's just Shador and Travis show." Like that's it. That's all your team is. We're in our second year. We're just slowly growing.
Man, Mike, you're hilarious. I didn't even know Corn Craze has already put up that amount of views, man. That's crazy. Anyway, sorry for my ADHD getting in the way.
No, I'm good with it. Hey, flowers on that for getting on there and dealing with a Husker fan like that.
Nah, man. Dude, most Husker fans I meet on the internet are great. But, you're going to find your pockets of trolls everywhere. And, I would be surprised if we didn't have any show up this week. That's what makes weeks like this pretty special. But, man, like, when we're talking about this thing, man, like I said, we haven't lost to this team since the first term of the Obama administration, man. You think I don't think we're going to win now? No way, man. We are getting this victory. Do you want to get into like our predictions, players of the game,
I
like all that stuff right now?
You're getting me a little fired up because I want to bring up a point eventually. Okay, I want to take off the niceness that I have been and giving credit to Nebraska because I want to go all in. I do. I want to go all in. And I want to make some of these Nebraska fans a little bit mad here with our predictions and what we're talking about and why I believe I'm going to be believing that we're going to win this game. So Dave, let's start with you though. What is your opinion? What do you think the score of this game will be realistically right now? No changing it. This is your last chance to change it. So I want to see you on a podcast tomorrow or Friday changing your thoughts.
Nah, all it is a prediction, man. I'm gonna be changing up on anything, and it's probably better that we end with yours. We'll end with the fireworks, man. Here's the thing. We're gonna be a defense that averages giving up mid to upper 20s every game. I think Nebraska is probably going to slide us in the time of possession. But at the end of the day, we got the better quarterback. We have two Heisman candidate players. They have made the difference in all these big games, man, that we've played in. And I think we have a better complementary cast going into this game, even though Nebraska is well improved as well. So that's why, man, I'm going with the fact that this is going to be a high-scoring game. Not an extremely high-scoring game, but I do see you squeaking out a close win here. Not only do they cover the spread, but they get the victory. 31-28, man. 31-28. 3-point victory, just like we've seen in the previous recent years of this rivalry. Last year was kind of an exception to the rule with how we've played each other. It's usually very close, and I think our veteran experience at the quarterback position is what's going to make a difference here. Give me the 3 points over Nebraska in Lincoln, baby.
Okay, I like it. Okay, so for my take, okay, Nebraska has not beaten Colorado in over 5,000 days. Okay. They have been in the dumps for quite a while. In fact, we ended that dynasty on a certain day, all the way back on November 23rd, 2001. All you Nebraska fans in the chat, how do you like that date? Okay. I hope you remember it. I hope you still have nightmares from it. When the number 1 seed Nebraska Cornhuskers lose to Colorado 62-36 and end the dynasty where Nebraska has not recovered since that game. They have not recovered since that game. And so Colorado and Shedeur Sanders in his second game against Nebraska, his final game against Nebraska in his Buffalo career, is going to come away victorious. Travis Hunter is going to have another game. You can't stop him even if you key in on him. You saw what happened last week when somebody tackled him as he caught the ball. That man just does not get stopped. He is going to go off for at least a touchdown. I'm calling it now. LeJontay Wester, 2 touchdowns. Okay. And I am giving 1 touchdown. Okay. 1 touchdown to Charlie Offerdahl. He is going to get a touchdown in Lincoln to seal the game for Colorado at the end and end the Cornhuskers once and for all, because we are not going to be playing each other for a very long time ever again. And my pick for the game score-wise is going to be Colorado 34, Nebraska 28. Colorado comes out of Lincoln with the victory. And Nebraska fans, you can go home crying because guess what? You got probably another 5,000 days till you get another chance to beat us. So it's going to be 10,000 days since you last beat Colorado if you don't win this Saturday.
Oh man, I gotta turn on the music for this one. I gotta turn the music on. Russ, I'm sorry, I should have done this before, man, but you were absolutely cooking. That's right. That's right. What was I gonna say? I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's time to torch that corn. It's time to shuck that corn. It's time to have everybody go back to their farms, go back to their farmer life, wearing those overalls, man. Nothing like that, man. Nothing. We cannot allow a victory to happen because we don't play these guys again until freaking 2031. We can't hear that for another 7 years. No way, man. We're not going out this way. We suffered through too much last year to go down in this rivalry game. Nah, man, this team is built different. Remember, guys, we only had 3 penalties last week. Holy shit, we only had 3 penalties, man. This is a disciplined team. This is a composed team. All I'm going to ask, Shedeur, man, slide when you're moving, man. Slide when you're running. I don't want to see you getting hurt. None of that. But we're going to go in there, man. We're going to make enough plays to get the job done. And Nebraska is going to know that you can't cover 4 guys that can take it to the house every single play. That's going to be the difference in this game. You got a player of the game, Russ?
My player of the game. I do. My player of the game. For this game, I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to go with... Let's go with... I like what someone else put in the chat. If he plays, I'm going to go Cameron Silman Craig getting 2 interceptions. 2 picks from that safety position. That's what I'm going for. And to the person that's like, nah, Charlie's not going to get that touchdown. You guys didn't pay attention. We are going to be winning. We're going to be running down the clock, and we are going to need to kill it. And what better way than in the red zone than to give the ball to Charlie for the ending touchdown that will finish the story. I'm not saying Charlie's going to play all game, but I guarantee we get in the red zone there at the end and we're winning. I could see us handing the ball off to Charlie for that final touchdown.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, hey, I'm going to say player of the game on my end, man. I'm going to go on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's really going to be who does Nebraska try and take away. Dude, he had a great game last game. Jimmy Horn, now is your time, man. Now is your time to string together performances like this. This is what gets Jimmy drafted, having multiple games like this, man. I think, again, the attention's going to be on Travis. I want to see Jimmy Horn absolutely. We can hit him on the underneath. we can just get him the ball in space quickly and allow him to beat these guys, man. Let's put Nebraska's speed to the test. I would be a hypocrite, man, if I came out here and didn't think the player of the game would be one of our fastest guys when that's what we're going to need to win the game.
Yep. And when it comes to Jimmy, he's going to be doing it for his dad. I think Jimmy's going to have an absolute torture of a week. And I agree with you, David. I think I love that pick for Jimmy because I think he is going to have a massive game. Can you imagine last week, by the way, he missed 2 touchdowns. Dude, he missed 2 touchdowns.
He missed 2.
The other one was the one Shedeur underthrew him on down the middle because he was under pressure. If he throws that in stride, Jimmy's gone. Oh, and then you've got the screen pass that Jimmy dropped. So like Jimmy could have had 3 touchdowns. Again, we would have blown them out if we get to that point. But hey, I digress. I do agree. Will Shepherd, LeJohntay going to have an amazing weekend. I think we watched Travis pull back just a little bit. I don't think you get the 3 touchdown performance that he did, but he very well is going to get probably 100 yards receiving this game.
And a heavy dose of 100+ snaps as always. But yep. Russ, any other items, man, or can we take a couple more comments and then get out of here?
Let's let's end the show with the comments. What do we got from some of the people that aren't too crazy?
I want to give a shout out here to RS. She says, or he says, sorry. Great live stream today, guys. Much respect to Colorado fans. I'm watching from the Philippines. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Rivalry week is one of the funnest weeks of the entire year, if not the most fun week. Y'all enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a great one. JP's revenge coming. Saying here, I got Preston Hodge with the pick, and Shedeur Sanders puts up another 400+ yards game and 2. I think minimum, dude, if we're going to win this game, Shedeur needs to throw for over 400 yards. Any thoughts on this?
Agreed, 100%. I think it is I'm saying 400+ 3 touchdowns, and we win. We win 100% of the time.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Okay. Anything else on your end, Russ, that I might have had? Oh, how could I forget? El Cone. How do you feel about
I'm not one of the Shane Cokes haters. I know there's a lot of CU fans that absolutely hate him and think that he's like Charlie in the sense that they're like the Make-A-Wish kids on the team that Coach Prime just keeps putting them in and everyone's like they're trash. I think Cokes has done a lot to improve his game this offseason. I've seen that in the practice videos. And honestly, I think we saw it last week. He did a fairly good job there in the middle when he was there. So I appreciate Shane Cokes. I don't think he's our best defensive player. I don't think he's our best defensive lineman. But I do think that he should be rotated in and he's a serviceable defensive lineman. I'm not like some people that are just like, he should never see the field ever again. So that's my take. Dave, are you on which side of the boat are you on with Cokes?
Dude, Cokes has surprised me, man. I didn't think he'd be starting. We'll see if that continues. I think we might see a little bit different personnel this week as opposed to last week, but who knows? But this makes me just want to predict, man. I really want to see a Shane Cokes sack this week, baby. Chidoze got one last week. Let's have Shane Cokes get one of his this week. I think that would be great. If we can generate some interior pressure on the pass, imagine that. Oh, man. That would be great. So, what did it, man? Some of these comments are so funny. Biggs, appreciate you guys tuning in.
Appreciate
Russ,
you, Biggs.
Where can we find you? What do you got coming up on your channel next? Again, guys, go subscribe to Russ Buffs News Weekly in the description of my video.
Yeah, you guys, if you're watching this later on, if you're watching this live, you guys did an amazing job last week. We gained 20 subs from this live video. So I appreciate that. I do a weekly news video. And hey, for those of you that are Nebraska fans out there, my weekly news video is meant to be a straight factual news show. I don't try and slant things a specific way. The lives are a lot different than what you experience on my news. So if you're just trying to find out more about our team and what's going on from a, kind of direct source rather than one that may have, either a super positive or a super negative outlook on Colorado. I try to do my best in my news videos that I do weekly. This last week, I thought it was pretty good. Is one of my lowest performing videos. So if people want to go check that out, and we're sub 1,000 views on that from Saturday. So if you're out there and you guys have some time tonight, feel free, go check it out. Tell me what you think. Give me a comment letting you know that you appreciated it, or that, hey, I take feedback as well. But we're getting closer to 2,000 subscribers. So if you've got friends, if you got families, whatever it is, head over to Buffs News Weekly on YouTube. Give me a subscription. Check out some of the videos. Stick around. We've got a lot more planned, and yeah, we're gonna keep doing this each and every week, Dave. We got the Buff Blitz every week of the season.
That's right. I feel like this has been going pretty well. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This has been it's been a lot of fun in this hour, 20 minutes flown by.
Absolutely loving this. It's been fun hanging out with everybody, getting to know new people, getting to have the fans from the other teams come in and let us know how they feel, no matter what their opinions may be. It does make it a fun night. And I think this is a great way to kick off what is about to be the last couple days before we get into the Nebraska game and finish out Hate Week. So yeah, let's do this, guys. Hey, Saturday night.
Y'all enjoy the game. We will be back next week to break it all down and to preview our other rivalry, this time facing off a little redheaded stepchild, part of the Colorado family, CSU.
The sheep.
The sheep, man. We don't care about them. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe on the way out. As always, y'all, let's chuck that corn in. Sco Buffs.
Sco Buffs.
Thanks again.